So when I came here, I felt like Malaysia was a very open country. I didn't see it as modest.
Meet Lidu from Sri Lanka, Katie from South Africa, and Naili from Malaysia, who are going to discuss fashion in Malaysia. What they admire, what they wish would change, what you should know before coming here, how are people dressed here, and more. Hai, nama saya Aga, saya dari Poland, tapi saya tinggal di sini selama 10 tahun. And I do content here. So tune in to my channel to hear different perspectives on different topics in this beautiful country.
Hi, my name is Lidu. I'm originally from Sri Lanka, but I've been living in Malaysia for 10 years now. And I love fashion.
And you do content in fashion as well
and
on social media.
In fashion, in TikTok and Instagram.
And a lot of your tips go viral. And I've seen them, they are good.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm from South Africa. I've been in Malaysia for nearly 2 months. And I'm not a content creator.
Yet.
But I do definitely enjoy seeing what people are wearing and shopping.
And dressing well as well.
Hi, I'm Naili. I am Malaysian and I've been living in Malaysia my whole life, so I'm pretty much the top expert on Malaysian fashion. But don't ask me what older people wear because I only really look at Gen Z.
By older people, she's referring to me, everyone.
No.
That's good, but it's a super cool perspective because you are like almost semi-Malaysian, just like me. I've been in Malaysia for 10 years too. So super cool to also see your perspective, like very fresh eyes from South Africa, and from what I've heard, it's like booming creativity. Obviously the top expert Malaysian on fashion, who is obviously embracing all the trends and the self-expression. So let's get started. Okay, so the first question is just to set the tone. When you think of fashion in Malaysia, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Okay, well, I think, this is towards more Gen Z people. I think it's very trendy right now, especially with all the social media that's coming up, like TikTok. I mean, everyone is a content creator at this point. So whatever is popular will be whatever the trend is that everyone is wearing, like cargo pants or baggy pants. Like once it gets popular, everyone is wearing it, or that's what I see amongst like Gen Z.
It changes a lot.
Yeah,
throughout the year.
Yeah, probably every couple of months or so it will change, like what's popular.
Sounds like an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, fashion is very fast, and I see that in Malaysia too. Like what you said, I agree with you, but there's also a mixture of culture there. And yeah, I would say it's diverse in the sense where like you have Malays wearing baju kurungs, and then Indians wearing like saris, and then you have Chinese wearing cheongsams, and the best part is that each culture like sort of interchanges all of that. So like what I mean by that is like you'll see an Indian wearing a cheongsam, and you'll see like a Malay wearing a sari, or a Chinese wearing a baju kurung, and they also wear it to like just normal office wear.
I think for me, from a very, I guess, fresh perspective and in a way lack of knowledge and information, I can see it's super modest, of course, but people still put their own like style, and you can still see unique perspectives coming through. So even though in a way it looks similar, when you start to see a little bit more, people are still putting their own style and
spin to it. Yeah, that is true. But it's very interesting what you mentioned, right, about that diversity, because that was a like very positive culture shock for me, because I grew up in Poland and we don't have that. There is literally no tradition or heritage or culture injected into fashion whatsoever. It doesn't matter what kind of wedding you are going into, like what region or culture, everyone is just gonna wear commercial clothes. Like whatever is trending that summer in the, mass market type of shops. Is it something like that in South Africa as well, or do you have your traditional clothing blended in?
Yeah, I think definitely different people have different traditional outfits, and that will be part of their fashion. In South Africa, for sure, and then that will be part of your wedding, that will be part of a lot of different big occasions. You'll wear like an outfit that maybe represents your community and your culture. Not so much obviously with white people, but
in Sri Lanka you do have like sari, and you do have like a modest wear representation too, right?
Yeah, it's very traditional. So there's also like the majority in Sri Lanka is Sinhalese, so they have their own traditional wear, which is slightly different from what the Tamils would wear in Sri Lanka. So like Tamils would primarily wear saris, but Buddhists, I mean Sinhalese also have saris, but the way they dress it up is kind of different. Yeah, so they have their own traditions as well, and it's also like both religions or both like races would embrace each other's like traditional wear as well. Yeah.
So I think maybe Katie, for you, I mean, maybe you remember your first impression as well. What's your first impression of Malaysian fashion?
It's amazing. The first thing for me is when I'm outside, I feel so hot all the time.
You gotta adjust that.
Everyone's wearing long pants. Everyone is wearing
that's true. Yeah.
long sleeves. So I'm like, okay, how do you guys do it? You're bringing like fashion and good looks, but at the same time, it doesn't match the weather for me. That's my first impression. So I'm like amazed. Is everyone not sweating? I'm sweating.
Yeah, and you would think that that's because of the modesty thing, right? But they're not just covering themselves; they're layering.
Yeah, it's
they're
outfits.
like outfits and then jacket and then layer. I'm like, whoa, are you? How much are you trying to cover?
I wear a lot of like long pants and
Jeans.
stuff
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
because I think our bodies are actually amazing and adjust.
Yeah.
Plus, I think maybe like you were still embracing Malaysia, probably walking, wandering around. But I think if you are like been here, you're escaping that heat as much as you can, right? You're gonna hop from mall to Grab or to car to another mall, all the bridge that is probably having an aircon installed as well, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, it was very cool observation.
Yeah, I think that's probably a beginning.
Yeah.
So my first impressions were very different because like from the way I was raised, I was like told to that cover myself. I was not allowed to wear shorts, no tank tops. So when I came here, I felt like Malaysia was a very open country. I didn't see it as modest. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I felt like people are very free here, so yeah, I see it very differently. As I don't like look at the weather part, but it's more like people are quite open-minded here.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, my parents were super strict. So I wasn't allowed to wear shorts, I wasn't allowed to wear anything sleeveless. So yeah.
Interesting.
But eventually it's changing, yeah.
So let's actually talk about the changes, right? I mean, for you probably it's difficult to address or answer that, but for you after 10 years, and obviously for you observing and looking at fashion, has it been changing in Malaysia in the past years? Did you notice like major differences?
I think the change of people dressing more like actually less conservative because it used to be fashion is what you see your parents wear, what you see the older like relatives wear, whereas now it's like what you see people from all around the world wear. And it's starting to become more like lenient towards like, but not wearing revealing stuff, wearing more experimental things which are not considered like
traditionally
fashion,
conservative.
fashion,
Yeah, true, because now you are obviously have more access to the content from all around the world, and then you get that influence, right?
Yeah. It also shows how like modest clothes are not. It's not boring.
Yeah.
There's ways to make it super fun as well.
Oh yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Yeah. When I first came here, the baju kurung was like super traditional, but now I see how it's evolved to something that's like a mixture of modern and culture together.
Yeah.
And it's like more flowy, and I feel like I want to be wanting to wear like something like that.
Yeah, for me shopping for the like all the celebrations among all the cultures is so exciting. Have you seen any of those like baju kurung or cheongsam or like
I've seen in the shops, but I don't necessarily know like when would you buy what, when would you wear what.
Usually like the weddings or like Raya, which is upcoming after the Ramadan, then the whole city will basically wear it. You will definitely see it. So when you talk about the conservative fashion and like still traditional modest wear, right? What are like the biggest no-nos in Malaysia? If someone is completely unfamiliar with Malaysian culture, is coming here for the first time, what would you warn them or advise or give them the tip, what to bring, what not to bring, what to be aware of?
I need this.
Okay. Biggest no-nos. I would say there's not really much. I mean, if there was a big no-no here, I feel like it would be the same in other countries. But like definitely, if you see people wearing the hijab, right, and you ever want to try wearing that, I'd say you can, but you have to go all the way. You can't just like wear that and wear shorts, or, like, short sleeve.
Of course.
Yeah, you gotta really like kind of respect that part.
Of course.
Yeah,
that's a very good point, because I think people are curious.
Yeah.
You cannot like just for fun experiment with it. That's a very good point.
From my side, I would say if you're in KL, it's very tourist centered, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what you wear. You can pack light. Don't want to pack any like thick clothing.
What Katie was saying, you gotta sweat.
You can leave the
Sweat
big
is
jacket
unavoidable.
Yeah, you don't need it.
But especially when you go to different states, I think maybe being a bit more mindful on what you're wearing is okay. Yeah, I think maybe not too revealing, like not like very short crop tops, right? Yeah, like tanks and shorts are still fine throughout the country, but I think just wearing like very short crop tops or extremely short shorts is probably something.
And you're not gonna feel. I don't think you will feel comfortable either, because as soon as you see everyone else, like I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I had brought more long sleeves and stuff like that.
But the interesting thing, that would be my observation. I've had some faux pas, like especially when I came in and I've worn some like very summery clothes. And exactly as you say, I felt weird. But the interesting thing is that Malaysians don't make you feel uncomfortable. Like they won't tell you, they won't like make a comment, they won't stare at you, right? Is that something
not
that
at all.
this is
and
very,
I think
very
they can
interesting.
see, oh, you're not
You didn't get it.
So maybe you have like kind of a free pass, but no, there's no judgment. I think you, like me personally, I just feel like, oh, I just want to be a little bit more like respectful and part of what everyone else is doing.
Yeah. Okay, so this is also a little bit like stereotype that I've heard a few times. So obviously from your perspective, please correct it if it's incorrect. They say, and it's not just for Malaysia, but overall in the region, that people here love big brands, luxury brands, as opposed to like Europe, where more finding your own style, or going secondhand or thrifting and finding your unique pieces. It's a little bit more trending, I would say. Is that true for Malaysia, that people love big brands?
I think the big brands thing is definitely like more of a demographic that you'll see wearing these big brands. Like they'll have a shirt with the whole logo on their shirt, and it's like, why are you wearing that? But it's like, that thing is like a status thing, If I can own this brand, so I have this much money. More like separation between like people being really rich or really poor. And I think the middle class just started like adopting this kind of fashion to
the aspiration.
Say, like, to be like, oh, well, I can afford these things, but But I think the younger generation are definitely adopting more of that European thing you said, where we go thrifting and we get secondhand clothes and we adopt more of our own personal style.
Don't want to overpay.
Yeah. That, and it's up and coming within like Gen Z members, like having your own style and just not following what everyone wears, which is these big brands.
Right.
Yeah, because it doesn't mean you have good style. It just means you have money or you don't have money. Yeah.
And what about like fast fashion here? Do you think people care about buying from these like really unethical brands?
I don't think there's that big of an awareness about fast fashion here. I mean, I used to work at Uniqlo, which is a huge like, people don't think it's fast fashion, but it kind of is. It's not like Shein, but like it's close.
Yeah, the factories are all.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, and I think Malaysians buy a lot from Uniqlo, and the sales were like popping every single day. So fast fashion is still like on the rise, I feel like. There's not that much awareness.
I think that's a big thing, bigger thing in South Africa, that people are thinking about, okay, where's the clothing coming from? And maybe that leads into, I want to shop more secondhand, and then that can also be more of my own personal style.
I think I would say that, people still do shop for luxurious brands and fast fashion, but I do see, like especially on TikTok, I see a lot of people thrifting clothes and making content out of it. So I'm thinking, thrifting is also something that's popping up.
It's coming.
Yeah. But personally, I actually haven't thrifted before. I don't have that experience. Mainly because like what's keeping me away from thrifting is I'm just afraid that it's not washed properly or something.
The hygiene side of it.
I saw a
all
good
months.
point about this the other day, which is like when you go to a hotel,
Mhm.
you sleep in sheets that so many other people have slept in.
Mm.
So what is the difference between clothes? You can wash it yourself at your house
Yeah.
and wash it nicely.
We see who's the ambassador of thrifting here. You have, and it doesn't have to be Malaysia for you, Katie, but overall, who is your icon or who inspires your fashion? I have the Malaysian one.
Oh.
You tell us.
I mean, I don't know if you've heard of Yuna.
Yes.
The singer, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's embracing modest wear, but really experimenting, kind of what you were saying earlier on, like making it very like edgy, cool, but still like respecting, you know, her modesty and her boundaries with fashion, but making it colorful, creative. I adore her dot, but also like her fashion, it's like what always stood up for me.
I don't have any Malaysian icons that I look up to, but mostly they're from India.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are a few Instagram content creators that I follow, but it's the kind of fashion that matches with like my kind of fashion. So it's mostly modest, but you wear like sleeveless dresses, but in a very modest way.
Right.
So yeah, there's like one specific content creator called Steffi Mervin. So
Okay.
she's someone who I kind of like look up to when it comes to fashion and get like ideas and inspo.
I think I don't have one person that comes to mind, but a big thing that inspired me, maybe it's just Pinterest and loads of different people, is just to be a lot more colorful, because I feel so many of my clothes are just black or white. It's just like these really boring colors, no
Plain.
patterns, and so my kind of inspiration now is just to be like a lot more colorful.
But when I see the pictures from like Cape Town and that creativity boosting or like some exhibitions, people get their fashion right there, like really playful.
Yeah, very creative, and
Yeah.
it's just all about being like artistic expression. and
Yeah,
trying
Love
to
that.
bring something new to the table. I think.
yeah, I love that. What is your Malaysian icon in
Oh.
fashion?
I mean, I don't feel like like these two, I don't have a specific celebrity or any icons that I really kind of look up to, but because I feel like fashion is more of saying what your personality is. So for me, that's more like Japanese streetwear. I mean, if you just Google Japanese streetwear, you'll see.
No, we can see Nelly.
Oh, yeah,
It's
like-
okay.
Yeah. So definitely a mix of like androgynous kind of like, you know, something that both guys and girls can wear and they both look good in it. I feel like that's the most comforting to me. And, like
Nice.
Japanese streetwear. Also, I used to like kind of like skateboard, so like kind of that skater vibe. I used to kind of have, but when I was younger.
The cool
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah, kind of like the cool girl vibe. But now that I'm older, maybe like something more comfortable, everyday wear.
So you mentioned like the fashion for kind of could be unisex, right?
Yeah.
So gonna touch on the boys in Malaysia. How do you evaluate guys' fashion in Malaysia? Do Malaysian guys dress well?
Okay, so since I'm
My
I'll go
husband,
first.
yes.
So my husband, he didn't used to have that much style. He was okay, but I think now I'm really like trying to like make him experiment with different kinds of style and make him more stylish.
He looks great.
Yeah, right? It's my influence.
He married fashionista.
You start to dress him.
But I think in general, Malaysian guys they don't dress that bad. They're still okay. It's not like they're not too shabby. I would say, yeah.
There's definitely a mix like of business, like where we are now, everyone is just dressed smart
Yeah.
and looks like it's their office wear, but all looks good, like everyone fits into their clothes well. I think that's the best thing for guys, like the fit.
Yeah.
It needs to be good.
True.
Yeah, I think it's a mix. Some people don't care, and then some people look really good.
I think most Malaysian guys will dress for comfort. Like, you know, there's that Uniqlo Airism tee, which is really good for the weather, and they'll buy hundreds of colors of the same t-shirt and
The
wear
pragmatic.
and recycle that. But maybe in like subcultures, in Malaysia, they'll dress like really, really well. But that's rare to see. So I would say they dress okay. They'll dress for comfort.
If you could change something in fashion in Malaysia, what would it be? inspo here, but you can go either way. I wish to see more of that traditional patterns or heritage into contemporary wear. Like, I would love to see more batik that I can wear and look fashionable on a daily basis.
It's hard for me because when I've been in KL specifically, I don't know who's Malay, like I don't know who lives here and who doesn't live here. So there's a lot to take in.
I wish there are more local brands, like more indie brands. Yeah, because I'm kind of like tired of shopping from fast fashion as well, and I want to go towards like specific designers who really like come up with well thought pieces.
Right.
It can be like for the weather, or it can be for like daily wear, whatever.
Yeah.
To see.
It's definitely like the mall culture. It's like all the big brands in the malls, and you want more boutiques and interesting and local brands, local designers. That would be really
absolutely.
Because I want to support local designers. Fashion brands. Yeah.
And that always comes also with that sustainability, because they usually would make lower quantity, it's better quality, and also like a better expression or that local injection in it, right? Which 100% agree. Yeah.
And it's not like everyone has your T-shirt from Uniqlo. You
Yeah.
can wear something different.
You know what I really like is Indian people and how they wear jewelry. Not just Indian people, but Middle Eastern people, and they have tons and tons of jewelry. I feel like I don't really see people embrace jewelry as part of their fashion piece here in Malaysia. It's mostly just, ring and one necklace. I feel like I'd want to see more of that, which would be very interesting. And also, like you said, the baju kurung and the kabaya, if that could be more experimental and change, not change because you can still have the traditional
absolutely
outfit and everything, but then have like a separate where it's like things like you can bring back to other countries and show like, wow, this is Malaysian design, but it can be so much more.
And is that what is happening in South Africa in terms of like the small brands? Are they popping up?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's so many local brands, artists, they're figuring out their own way to create like a brand or something like that. But it's also difficult. I think it's not so easy to start your own fashion brand. So maybe that stops people, but definitely there's like a lot of artistic expression.
What would need to happen in Malaysia to like help, inspire, and also give the platform to those creative designers to actually do that, right? Like, do you have any observations from South Africa? Like, why did it allow like this kind of industry, this niche to boom?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same here, but in South Africa, it's really big to have like markets and going shopping with pop-ups, little smaller spaces where you could sell your clothes and have like a lot of different people see it. So I think now it's really scary to start a brand because it's like, how are you going to market it? How are you going to advertise it? How are people going to find you and be able to buy it? Like, there's so much noise, you're just inundated. So I think maybe having more spaces and more like of a culture of going to little markets and finding little pop-ups.
The visibility for them, because I think Malaysians love supporting local brands. So I think if that was the case, that because there are some pop-up markets usually like focus on food. There are some small fashion coming up, but sometimes there will be thrift or some like smaller jewelry. Okay, amazing. So the last question is, finish the sentence. Fashion in Malaysia is like.
Fashion in Malaysia is like going to a party and everyone is different from you. That's where I feel like it is.
I love that.
So it's not one word.
I think so.
I think for me, fashion in Malaysia, from what I have experienced, is mixing the modesty with your own take on it.
And I think for me, Malaysian fashion is colourful. Colourful in the sense not just like colours, but also because of the culture, and then you also have like modern mix to it. So makes it colourful.
I love that. I would say the same.
There was an annual dinner that I went last month, and I saw Indians wearing cheongsams. And they can choose to wear anything, but they choose to wear like cheongsams. And then I see like Malays wearing saris or lengas, and I was like, wow, they really like they're okay to embrace each other.
Awesome, girls. Thank you so much.